Hi guys, it's Julie. Welcome back to my wonderful BC life. I'm back today with my week 7 weight loss journey update. Well, it's been a crazy week. In all honesty, I was not good some of the time because we went away for the weekend. On the long weekend, we decided we were going to go on a little bit of a road trip. And we went to the mainland, drove down past Chilliwack, and while we were in that area, we went to Bridal Veil Falls. Now, if you're somebody who likes waterfalls, and if you're ever in this area, please go see Bridal Veil Falls. Of all of the waterfalls that I have been to in my life, and I've been to quite a few, it is, to me, the most beautiful of all of the waterfalls I've ever been to. But the funny thing about our drive that day was that I was probably running on about 3 hours sleep. I had been burning the midnight oil, getting my video ready to upload, and then I had a hard time falling asleep, so I really hadn't slept well. So here we were on a nice road trip, and I was asleep, I bet you half the time. It was terrible. I could not stay awake for the life of me. And I just felt terrible about it because I'm the one who really wanted to go and see the beautiful scenery, and here I am. I was not seeing the scenery like that, but there was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't keep my eyes open no matter what I did. Well, anyway, we continued on. We went down past Hope and I assume Merritt, but I think I slept through Merritt, to be honest. And Princeton, I think there was a town called Princeton that we stopped in. It was a nice little town, and I've got a few pictures from there, but probably not too many, but we did stop there. And then we continued on until we got to Osoyoos. And I love Osoyoos. It's such a pretty little town. It needs some updating as far as some of the hotels and stuff are concerned, because some of them have been there too long and they just could stand some updating. I know one of my worst ever experiences, in fairness, was at one of the hotels in Osoyoos. There was this one hotel. It was right on the water, right on the beach, but it hadn't been updated in decades. And I'm not exaggerating when I say decades. It was just terrible inside. I remember that they had towels for curtains in the window, and those were all torn looking, and there were spiders in there, and we all know I hate spiders. And there were spiders as you were going up the stairs to get to it. There were spiders all in the rungs of the stairs, and then when you got into the hotel room, there were spiders in there too. So yeah, that was one of my worst ever hotel experiences, and I've had some pretty bad ones, I can assure you. But that's not to say that all of the hotels in Osoyoos are like that. This time we stayed at the Best Western, and it wasn't right on the water. It was down the road just a little bit. But in all honesty, it was a nice stay that we had there. Very expensive though, including tax, almost $300, like 270 some odd dollars for one night stay. To me, that's just ridiculous, but it is what it is these days, it seems. So anyway, we had some fun there. They have this like a little amusement park there, and they have some rides, and they have mini golf and the go-karts and all that stuff. And when we were walking around, Dave says, "Oh, look, they've got a tilt-a-whirl." Well, we're old school, as is pretty much obvious, but nonetheless, we used to love, when we were younger, going on the tilt-a-whirl. It was one of our favorite rides. That one and the Scrambler, I would say, are our favorite rides probably. Well, anyway, Dave says, "Let's do it. Let's go on the tilt-a-whirl." And I said, "Okay, let's do that. That sounds like fun." So sure enough, we go over and we walk up there with our ticket to the tilt-a-whirl. And there's this young guy working there. I swear to God, he didn't look a day over 14, if that. Anyway, he probably was chuckling at these two old people going on the tilt-a-whirl, especially when we were the only ones on it. There were no other people on it when we were on it. So it must have been so funny for him just to see us doing that. But oh, we laughed. And at the end of this video, I do have a little clip that I took of the two of us. Well, you can't see us. I should have turned it around, but I was afraid if I tried to turn it around that my phone might fly out of my hands, and that's why I didn't. But you can get the idea of what we were going through because I had the camera up and we're flying around, and you can just sort of see how we're flying around by what the camera shows. But anyway, we were going to play mini golf there too. The skies got so dark, and we had terrible weather for the whole trip, to be honest. It was raining probably more often than not. It was cold and it was windy. Oh my gosh, just terrible weather. But anyway, we were going to play mini golf, and I kept looking up at the skies, and they were just black. You're like, it's definitely going to rain. And sure enough, the skies opened up, and that was it. The rain started coming down, and it rained for the rest of the day. So we never did get to play mini golf. But anyway, the next day we hopped in the car, headed down the road, and we ended up going through Penticton, Oliver, I think. I'm trying to remember the names of these places. I think one of them was Oliver. And oh my gosh, oh, what a beauty. Sorry, everyone. Somebody just walked up the path that's outside the kitchen window with a beautiful purebred shepherd. And if anybody who knows me from years gone by knows that I had two beautiful purebred shepherds, and I have a real soft spot for those. So I couldn't help but comment when I saw that one walking by. Anyway, back to my story. So now we headed up, like I say, through these different towns up to Peachland, Summerland, and when we got to Peachland, we came across a big car show. And of course, you know Dave, he's not going to drive past a car show. He's going to stop. And I actually knew that there was a car show there. I had seen it online because I have a website bookmarked on my computer that shows wherever any car shows whatsoever are in BC, and it actually shows some in Washington State too. But so I knew that was there. I didn't know that we would actually drive right by it, so I wasn't really planning to go to it, but because we were right by it, there's just no way Dave's going to stop. And yeah, I liked that, because it's his trip too, and he loves looking at the cars, and in all honesty, I do too. So I'll be doing a separate video on the car show. I'm sweating to death right here. Don't even ask me why. This is just my life. I'm just like, I just spontaneously combust when I least expect it. So anyway, we continued on after the car show, and we ended up in Kelowna. We spent the night there, and it rained and rained while we were in Kelowna too. I tell you, it was hard to get steps in. I didn't get many steps in while we were gone. I don't even have them all captured on my phone, because in some cases I just didn't get many steps in. I believe the day of the car show we got 15,000 and something. So that day wasn't too bad, all things considered. But there was so many traveling days involved, you just don't get a lot of steps in on the traveling days. So anyway, the next day when we got up, we decided to go back the other way, and we went up to Kamloops, and then we went over to Lillooet and eventually down through Whistler's. Popped in and surprised Richard and Emily. Richard was so surprised. Dave phoned him, and Richard's like, huh? Because he'd just seen us on Mother's Day, so he's not expecting to hear from us anytime soon. But anyway, he thought Dave accidentally butt dialed him with the phone. And Dave says, no. He says, we're in Whistler. And Richard's like, what? You're in Whistler? And there's like, yeah, we're in Whistler. we said, "Are you home?" And he said, "Well, yeah." And well, he'd been working midnight shift. It was his last night working midnight shift, grooming snow up on the mountains. And so he was pretty tired. So we stopped in, maybe visited for an hour or so, and then we left because, you know, he had to get some sleep. And we had a reservation on the ferry to get back. Dave didn't want to take the chance of going down to the ferry terminal and then finding out that we couldn't get onto one of the ferries. So we ended up having a reservation, and we were actually there early, so they let us go on early. So that was okay. We had to pay a penalty for that, though. Oh, well, it was just a small penalty, but still. Nonetheless, they could still put somebody else in our spot, right? But anyway, it didn't seem like the ferries were as busy as I expected them to be for a long weekend. And then on the way back, we saw a humpback whale. We were sitting right at the back of the boat, and then all of a sudden you heard somebody say something, and sure enough, there's this whale, and it was just sort of, you know, so I don't know if I'd call it jumping or not, but at one point it almost looked like it went on its side and waved at us. You know, I'm sure that wasn't really what it was doing, but it sure looked like it. So anyway, we had a good trip. So nonetheless, though, while we were on this trip, I ate more than I normally do, and I ate stuff I shouldn't. I had breakfast. Not so much the first day. I don't understand, like, Dave doesn't understand quite how you're supposed to do things. Okay, I'm doing one meal a day, but I still want something to drink when I get up. I'll have a coffee or a cappuccino or something. I have something when I get up. I have fluids still throughout the day. We set off, and Dave is just like, nothing. No drink, no nothing. And I'm like, well, that's not how I do it. I have to have a drink. I have to have fluids in me. I'm not dehydrating yourself isn't the answer. So anyways, at one point we did stop. I believe that was when we were in that town of Princeton, and we finally got something to eat there. We had a burger and I think just a pop or something. But nonetheless, the day went on. I ended up at I know I had a date square, and it was big. It was like it was a pretty big date square. I love date squares. I gave Dave one little piece just so he could taste it, but they're not his thing. You know, he's, as we know, into chocolate and cakey things and stuff. But anyway, I had that, and I knew that was bad, and I'm sure I had something else that was bad later in the day. And of course, you're eating fast food and stuff, and had a great big cookie. You know, if you see a great big cookie and you want one, Dave won't just share it with you, and that way you only have half as much. He wants his whole cookie, so he gets his whole cookie, and that means I get a whole cookie. And when you're talking big cookies, that's not a good thing for the diet. But nonetheless, we got back, and I immediately went back to my regular routine. I didn't always get a lot of steps in because we've had crappy weather here. In all honesty, it's still been cold, windy, and rainy for the most part. It's a little better now, but still not great. And nonetheless, I've been trying. So I went to step on the scale today, and I'm like, I just don't have a good feeling about this. I'm just having a bit of a bird because I'm thinking I'm not going to be down this week. I'm probably going to be up. I deliberately didn't step on that scale all week because I kept thinking it's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. I just know it. Well, I stepped on the scale today, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I was down 2.8 pounds, despite all the pigging out that we did and the inactivity that we had over the long weekend. I was still down 2.8 pounds. So now my overall total in 7 weeks is I'm down 19.6 pounds. So not quite 20, but close, pretty close. So I'm actually pretty happy about that. I'm quite pleased about it. And I have to still do my walk for today. I have an idea where I think I might go, but I've got to get going pretty soon. So anyway, I was quite pleased with the week overall. I tell you, it's funny the guilt that I have, because if I'm doing something bad and I'm thinking that I'm not going to lose weight, I feel guilty because I know you guys are watching, you're waiting, you're anticipating, you're rooting for me, or at least I know some of you are. Hopefully you all are. And so I feel guilty if I'm not good. If I don't think I've done enough, I feel guilty for it. And there are days when if I don't get enough steps, I will go downstairs after Dave goes to bed and I'll walk around down there just over and over and over and over. I haven't done that too many times, maybe 2 or 3 at the most, but just to get those steps up, I got to keep walking, So, but like I say, I feel immense guilt if I don't, do what I think I should do on any given day. If I don't live up to my expectations, I feel so guilty. And a part of that is because I know that my subscribers are waiting and watching to see what I accomplished this week. So you're actually helping me more than any of you know, because it definitely helps me when I know that I have to answer to somebody. And like Dave, I can tell he's quite pleased with me. And this is interesting too. Now, I won't say Dave is trying not quite as hard as I am, but he is trying. And because I'm not bringing dessert home and stuff, that means he's not eating it either. Maybe we'll have a couple of yogurts or something for dessert at supper time, or some fat-free pudding or something. But he for the most part, he is trying to, and he's doing, he hasn't stepped on the scale. We don't know quite what he has accomplished. But he said to me, he says, I know I've lost weight. And I said, oh, well, that's good. How do you know? If you haven't stepped on the scale, how do you know? Because usually there are ways to tell how your clothing fits and what have you. He says, I'm on my last belt loop. Well, that speaks volumes. So the thing with him is he's never stepped on the scale since this started, so he doesn't really know where he was weight-wise when we started this. But if he's down to his last belt loop, it's obvious that he is losing weight too. So that is good for him. He's happy for me. He's obviously happy for himself. So this is really going well so far. And, like I say, I know, especially with me, I've got a long way to go. I am still nowhere near my ideal weight. I know that. I'm well aware of where I think my ideal weight should be. And I'm nowhere near it right now. But I also know that if I could keep up this pace for the next several months, that I will get to that at some point. I don't know, it just all depends. We all know you're going to have good weeks and bad. But if at some point I can get all of the weight off, I will be so much happier. I remember when I lost the weight the last time that I was so thrilled to be able to go shopping in the regular clothing racks, to not have to look in the plus size section, because I hated that. There are a lot of plus size women out there, and yet when you go, say, to Walmart, they might have, 3 or 4, racks of clothing for plus size women. And all of the rest is dedicated to regular size women. So you don't have much to choose from. And I'll be honest, I don't really know what the clothing manufacturers are thinking. because for some reason, no, don't get me wrong, I'm not young, we know that. But nonetheless, I'm still young at heart. I don't want to dress like what I think an old lady would dress like exactly. I don't want to dress like a teenager either, but there's a place between the two that I would like to be able to dress, you know, something that's nice. I want nice clothing. And I find that a lot of time when you look in the plus size racks, everything looks matronly. I guess that's the best word I can use. It's like, you know, that doesn't look in any way hip or cool or stylish. It looks terrible, and that's what I find I usually have to choose from. And I don't want that. So I optimistically, when I went into the bay, our bay is still open. I'm not sure how much longer it's going to be open for, but I went in there the other day and I didn't even walk over to the plus size section. It's like, no, I'm not even going to look there. You know, I am not aiming at being plus size for much longer. I am aiming on being regular sized again. So I went over and looked at the regular sized clothing, and I'm not getting stupidly optimistic because I know that probably won't get me anywhere. I'm not going to go and look. Well, I would never be a size medium. My bone structure is bigger than that. I would be a size large is probably the smallest I would ever be. But I went over and I looked and I saw a couple of nice long sleeve tops, and they were regular $69.99 on for, I think one was $20 and one was $21. And they were size extra large. And I thought, I'm going to buy those. I didn't even try them on. I just said, I'm going to buy them. And I think that those will fit me. Surely by fall, they will fit me. They were the type of tops that were like a clingy fabric. So I know that even if I get a little bit smaller than an extra large, they probably will still fit me because they're that type of material. I couldn't wear them now, but they would be too clingy at this point still. And well, we all know if you're overweight, clingy doesn't look so good. But anyway, that's my report for this week. So the plan is that I will be putting my bonus footage at the end. And what I'm going to do is, as far as the trip footage, I'm going to put that in a separate video because otherwise the video is going to be way too long. It looks like it's going to be about half an hour long as it is. So I'll have the trip footage in a separate video, and I'm going to have the car show video separate as well because also it's going to make it way too long. And some people might be interested in watching the car show aspect of it and some people might not. So I'll also keep those separate so people can decide which ones they want to watch. Now, I wanted to say that I'm really behind in watching other people's videos right now. I know I'm probably a little over a week behind. I'm trying to catch up, but I'm finding that what happens is I don't want to stay up too late watching videos. And because I follow a fair number of people, I find that it's hard to keep up even at the best of times. And what is happening now is that if I don't want to spend more than, say, 2 hours before I go to bed at night watching videos, then I can only catch up with so many at a time, because your average video, probably most people's videos are around 20 minutes, but there are some that are longer, and there are people who post every day, people who post maybe every other day. And some of the videos, like I say, are longer than that 20 minutes. So in a 2-hour time span, you can only catch up on so many videos a day. But I am trying to get caught up on them. I know that there are some that I'm really looking forward to seeing, and I scan by them as I'm going through, like, you know, trying to get past all the ones that I'm, like, there are a bunch, like, especially if it's news-related ones, I just, you know, click those off. I don't have time to watch them it is what it is. I don't have time to watch it. But as I'm scanning past all of those, I'm seeing these other ones that I'm trying to get to, and I know that they're there, so I am working on that. And I am having a problem too. I don't know if anybody else is having this problem on YouTube. I'm finding that when I go to click the like button on some people's videos, and it's not any one I don't think it's any one person in particular's videos, but I'm finding that I'm having a real problem because it won't let me click the like button. And at the times when it won't let me click the like button, it won't let me comment either. So I might actually have watched your video and you might think, oh, well, she didn't watch my video. Well, I probably have, but I can't click the like button and I can't comment sometimes. I don't even know. It's very random because sometimes it'll let me and sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, it's been a problem that I've been going through, trying to get through all the videos. And like I say, very frustrating when it won't let me comment or hit the like button. And I was very much behind on people's comments to me. I found some that were months back that I somehow had overlooked. I don't even know how this happens. But anyway, I made it a point of going through those today, so I should be all caught up on the comments up until now. So any comments going forward from this video forward, I should be able to see them and I can comment back. So anyway, I will be having my bonus footage at the end, but like I say, I am going to put some things in separate videos. I still have my Mother's Day video to get up, and I've got a couple of Curbside Classic Cars videos that I have to get up. So you can tell I'm really behind in everything right now. It's ridiculous how much stuff I seem to be behind. I swear it's all this walking I've been doing that's got me behind in so many other things. But anyway, I will have some bonus footage at the very end, and I am going to show the part where we go on the tilt-a-whirl at the end. So that's kind of funny to watch because you can hear our comments as we're going around in circles. So anyway, if you like my video, be sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed to my videos, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and become a member of my YouTube family. And also be sure to hit the notification bell and set it to all so you don't miss any of my uploads. I hope that you're all doing well, that you're all healthy and happy. I hope you're all going to have a fantastic weekend. And thank you for joining me today. And until next time, bye-bye.
Side track. No, we're not. Yeah, probably. basically the way I'm remembering it, right?
Yep.
I was almost a good fit there. Oh, we're going double A. Bonus here, eh, Jerk?
Yeah.
You guys see the seal through the disc.
Just